All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. Interesting day for Seahawks fans for sure, because this is our first full day of knowing who our next owner is going to be, or at least overwhelmingly likely going to be. Technically, it hasn't happened yet, and it may not happen, but very likely that it does. So we've all got thoughts, we've all got takes, we've all got things to think about, things to ask, things that we want to know about these new owners. Like, for instance, who else is going to be in the ownership group and what kind of owners they are going to be. But before we get into any of that stuff in further detail, because we're going to have days, weeks, and months to have those discussions going forward, I do want to make this video at the very top here to extend my gratitude to Jody Allen, who was effectively the owner of the team these last about 8 seasons. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. And look, when it comes to temporary ownership of a sports franchise that is born of inheritance, this went about as good as it could have gone. And when it happened, and in the initial aftermath of the transition, it, it didn't necessarily seem like things were going to go our way. I didn't get the sense at first that we were going to be getting everything that we wanted out of the Jody Allen era. But not only did we get everything we wanted, we might have even gotten a little bit more. So Jody Allen, when she takes over the team, or effectively takes over the team, I know that somebody out there is going to say, well, technically she wasn't the owner of the team, but she was effectively the owner. She was the person we most associated with owning the team. So realistically, you could call her the owner, and I don't think you're making any grave mistake, but she takes over middle of the season in 2018, and immediately red flags go up. He probably doesn't love the Seahawks the way that Paul Allen did. He isn't invested the way that Paul Allen was, because Paul Allen personally bought the team. And Paul Allen had already proven to be an excellent owner. Paul Allen had already proven how much he cared. And then you got Jody. She didn't buy the team. We didn't know if she was really invested in the in the team's success the way that Paul was. And the initial impression that we got was not super favorable. We got the sense that she wasn't going to be a problem, but was the passion there? Well, here we are 8 years later. Seems like the answer was yes, there was some passion here for sure. And if you just want to take a look at the bottom line here, if you're a bottom line guy, Jody Allen effectively takes over in 2018, and I understand that at that point the die is already kind of cast. She's not going to change anything immediately, and things are kind of going to proceed as they are proceeding for a little bit there, but playoff team, playoff team, playoff team, one bad year, playoff team again, couple of seasons where you have a winning record but you don't make the playoffs, and then Super Bowl. There's not much of a lull there, right? It's not quite the Paul Allen standard, but it's a very strong standard. And there were bad seasons under Paul Allen too. It's not like we always won 12 games whenever Paul Allen was the owner. There were bad seasons with Paul, and the important thing was we would have good seasons in a way that we could depend on that we couldn't depend on previously. And that was the case with Jody too, so she did the thing. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. This is definitely a moment where things could have gone off the rails here, and they could have gone off the rails in a couple different ways. They could have gone off the rails because she wasn't willing to spend money. Doesn't seem like that was the case. Maybe at the end there, she didn't want to sign massive long-term contracts because of the whole escrow situation with guaranteed money, but even then, she had no problem putting the OK stamp on the JSN extension, which is one of the biggest extensions in NFL history for a non-quarterback, right? So even that ended up being overstated. He didn't intrude on things by caring too much, nor did she care too little. So when you're talking about ownership, that's kind of the standard that you need to meet, and she met it on all three counts. She showed that she cared, but she didn't get in the way. She was content to let the decision makers of the team, the people who know football, the people who have actually dedicated their life to football, make decisions. And that's 90% of the fight right there when you're an owner, right? And think about this as well. And this is something I've talked about before, because I can talk about the records, I can talk about the team success, I can talk about the fact that they literally just won the Super Bowl, I can talk about the fact that they spent money, they gave players contract extensions. Russell Wilson got a contract extension when Allen was the head of the team, or excuse me, I should say Jody, to be a little bit more clear there. Now you have the JSN contract. You could go back to the Leonard Williams contract, the Charles Cross contract. Like, there has been a willingness to throw money around as well, but think about it like this, and this is the thing that I always come back to. When Jody Allen took over, I think the main fear, it wasn't the money, because she had a ton of money that she frankly inherited, and there was no reason for her to not be willing to sign checks. It wasn't the sense that she would not care enough or care too much, so much. It was a sense that she would be afraid to do anything bold or allow anything bold to happen. Because I remember those first few years when things started to kind of go sideways. In 2021, you have Super Bowl aspirations before the season starts. You go 7-10. And I remember a lot of people, myself included, were sitting there and we were worried that Jody wasn't really going to care that much because football's not really her thing, and she's just holding on to the team temporarily until she can sell it. And we knew that. No, we heard that offseason she was not happy about the team underachieving. And not only was she unhappy, it wasn't just lip service. When John Schneider came to her and said, "Hey, I think we need to trade our franchise quarterback for draft picks and try something different," he didn't stomp down on it. There are owners out there who I absolutely believe in that exact same situation would have said, "That's our meal ticket. You can't trade our franchise quarterback. That's our guy. We're riding with him until the wheels fall off. We're not going to trade him." Jody didn't. Jody decided to go with John. Jody decided, "Hey, John, you think that's the right thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and okay that and take on the risk." And look at how much we were rewarded for that. Look at what we have gotten out of that decision. And Jody, I'm not going to sit here and act like she came up with the idea, but she allowed it to happen. And then a couple years later, it happens again with Coach Carroll. You have a couple more not so great seasons, including a relatively disappointing 9-win season in 2023. Again, there are owners out there who I think would have just been on autopilot and said, "Look, I'm going to sell the team in a couple years anyway. I don't want to fire a coach, especially the most successful coach in franchise history. I don't want to try to find a new coach right now. I don't want to have to sign a big check to a new hotshot coach that is probably going to be, $8 to $10 million a year. Why would I mess with that? I just want to have the guy that I have right now, and we'll just ride it until the next owner comes in. He's probably going to want his own coach anyway." Jody, no, no, I'm not going to pretend like she came up with the idea, because I'm sure she didn't, but she okayed the firing of Pete Carroll and outbid the Washington Commanders for Mike Macdonald. and empowered John Schneider to take full control of this front office. And look where it's gotten us. Look at what we've been rewarded with. Those are not things that a lame duck, hands-off owner does. Those are not things that an owner that doesn't care would probably permit, because it didn't come from a place of her just going, well, do whatever you want, John. John, go ahead and just do whatever you want. No, this came from a place of looking at the team and feeling like this isn't good enough. What can we change to make it better so that we have better results? And I'm not saying that Jody Allen put herself out there as someone that understands how to put together a football team, but she understood how to look at results, and she understood how to react to what was happening on the football field in a way that pushed the team to be better. And that's what being a sports owner is all about. So thank you, Jody Allen. It was a really, really good 8 years. Really happy we got to win a Super Bowl with her in control, and really happy that she gets to go out a winner. Like, there's not going to be any residual bitterness about the Allen era because, oh, she wouldn't spend big money at the end when she was in the process of selling the team. There's not going to be any bitterness of how, oh, she wasn't as good as Paul. And she wasn't as good as Paul, but he was great. But nobody's ever going to be as good as Paul, right? Paul did everything pretty much perfectly as an owner. There's not much more you can ask for from an owner than what you got out of Paul. I'm not going to say Jody was that, but Jody was great. She didn't get in the way of stuff. She wasn't a distraction. She didn't become bigger than the team. And she allowed the smart people in this organization to make decisions and empowered them to make bold decisions that not everybody would have made. And here we are. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon, but thank you, Jody Allen.